what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Right now I have with me David Tyree with Piney Grove Farm in Vinemont, Alabama.
Thanks, Mark. It's good to be with you. At Piney Grove Farm, we offer Black Angus beef raised all naturally. Our cattle are grass-fed, grain-finished. We'd love for you to come try some. Our market is located at 5814 County Road 1141, Vinemont, Alabama, and we're open on Fridays from 9 to 5. You can also give us a call at 256-339-4612.
That's Piney Grove Farm, located in Vinemont, Alabama. Find them on Facebook at Piney Grove Farm and give them a try. Whether you're new to aviation or an experienced pilot looking to advance your skills, Go Vertical Aviation has you covered. With an excellent learning atmosphere and a staff committed to excellence in education, Go Vertical Aviation will customize a learning program just for you. For more information, go to goverticalaviation.com or call 256-412-5226. Be sure to follow Go Vertical Aviation on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Don't just go. Go vertical.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
no representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. My wife and I sat down with Harlan Mitchell and discussed our own estate planning needs. I know in our experience, Harlan brought up questions that caused us to think about our current situation and what we need to do moving forward. When you sit down with Harlan for your free consultation, you're going to find out things that you may have not thought about when it comes to estate planning. I encourage you to go to BamaEstatePlanning.com or give Harlan Mitchell a call at 256-216-9884 and schedule your free consultation today.
Would you like enhanced energy, better moods, less fatigue, help with allergies, better sleep, mental clarity, or just want improvement of your overall immune health and well-being? Do you need to recover from intense activities, workouts, or sports? Then IV therapy at the Drip Factor inside Trinity Medical Center is right for you. Our IV drips are filled with nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that will help your body replenish, restore, and achieve your wellness goals. For more information, visit trinity-medicalcare.com and schedule your appointment today at Trinity Medical Center, located at 500 Governors Drive.
Experience the difference at Athens Bible School. The vision and purpose is to provide each student a quality education in a Christ-centered environment to develop the whole person spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially in safe and supportive surroundings. The solid biblical foundation permeates learning and culture in the classrooms and every extracurricular activity.
Hey everybody, this is Darryl Worley, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Hey, step up and make a difference like he does.
Hey y'all, this is Jeff Foxworthy, and you can make a huge difference somebody's life. You just may not have figured out how yet, and that's why you're listening to The Mark White Show.
Hi, this is Maggie Peterson. I played Charlene Darling on The Andy Griffith Show, and you are listening to The Mark White Show.
Hi, folks. This is Ricky Skaggs, and you're listening to The Mark White Show.
Hello, I'm Gene Stallings, and this is The Mark White Show. Get off the sideline and get involved and make a difference in your community.
You are listening to The Mark White Show. My daddy is your host, Mark White.
Do something good today.
Welcome to another edition of The Mark White Show. I am your host, Mark White, and right now I have a very special guest on the line. Her grandfather, Dwight Eisenhower, President and General, he was the 34th President of the United States of America. Welcome to the Mark White Show, Mary Eisenhower.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark.
I'm glad that you could come on the show today, and I know that there are many people who are excited to hear your voice, and many people who are connected still to World War II directly. They appreciate your grandfather and what he meant to them as they served our country. As you said, you once lived in the Huntsville area, in Huntsville, and we have a group called Honored Legacies for Veterans, and some of those guys are close to 100 or over 100 years old.
That's amazing. It goes on to further illustrate the quote-unquote greatest generation, as Tom Brokaw called them.
And we have had a big risk to that generation lately with COVID-19, and we've seen across the country some of our World War II veterans pass away from complications due to COVID-19.
They survived the largest invasion in history. Then COVID-19 gets them. However, there were several stories where there was one gentleman, I think, who was 102, and he was a World War II vet. He landed on the beaches, and he said, quote unquote, that I survived World War II, I'm going to survive this, and he did. He actually recovered, which was kind of amazing.
It really is. That's remarkable. When we think about those days going back to when your grandfather served our country as a general and led our armies against Hitler, the fact that we were able to ultimately defeat Hitler and what he was trying to do, I try to recognize these veterans while I can and to get their stories that can be shared to not only my generation, but to my daughter's generation and the generation that will come after them.
I think that's extremely important because, as we know, a lot of people try to revise history. And if you have direct stories, there's no arguing with that. I think it's extremely important to continue to teach it. It's kind of, I understand that the curriculums in schools and things like that become crowded as history evolves, but I find it disappointing that this is so rarely covered because I think that there's a lesson to be learned from what happened during World War II.
Absolutely. And, of course, you came around a little later. But growing up with a grandfather who was such an iconic figure, he was still your granddad. There is a bubble that seems to be built around people who are recognized in that way. How were you able to see your grandfather and interact with your grandfather with so many demands on him and his service?
Well, that was the beauty of Granddad. He adored his children and his family. And I often wondered, a lot of people, particularly before the day of the travel became so normal, that were not so close to their grandparents. I wondered, what the difference was. But when you think about it, a person with that kind of responsibility, who do they cleave to but their family? He grew up in a house full of boys. There were 7 boys total. 6 survived to adulthood. They lived in a very small, humble home, so they were very close quartered and that kind of thing. And my father ended up growing up as an only child because his brother died at 3.5 of scarlet fever. So Granddad, I think, really missed kind of the chaos of a big family. And my father was too willing to help out. He had 4 of us. I'm glad he didn't stop at 3. Because I'm the youngest. Anyway, I didn't realize he was anything but a knee-slapping grandfather until I got into school and people started treating me strangely. Very blessed that way.
Elaborate on strangely a little bit, Mary.
For example, I knew that he lived in a fancy house in Washington, but I didn't know he didn't own it. I thought he had a mortgage on it like everybody else, right? When I was introduced to people, like in school and things like that, there was no mention of me when we were introduced, and people would say, well, how's your grandfather? And I'm like, well, fine. What's the deal? Then finally, of course, things started falling into place and I understood what was going on. The beauty of him was that he never crisscrossed. In other words, when he came home from quote unquote the office, there really wasn't any way to know it was the Oval Office because he didn't act that way. He was with the family then. We did family things and we talked about family things, and I knew very little about how he actually felt about things until later on.
Thinking about the fact that your grandfather married Mamie Dowd, although you have the Eisenhower name and that's very strong, you do have another side to your family, and that's the Dowd family. Right. It was kind of funny because my grandfather was born very humble, and my grandmother was born, let me put it this way, her father retired the day that he got married. They were fine for money and things like that. So when my grandmother met my grandfather, it was love at first sight. I mean, they met in late winter, and they were engaged by Valentine's Day the next day and married the next July. And of course, back in Victorian times, my great-grandmother, kind of had a case of the vapors, and she said, "Oh, he's a military man. He'll never amount to anything," and all that stuff. Well, I've often wondered if when she was in her bedroom at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, she still felt the same way. But they actually ended up quite close. He won her over because he was a charming man. We're talking to Mary Eisenhower. She is the youngest granddaughter of Dwight and Mamie Eisenhower, our 34th president of the United States of America. And of course, we just now had the 76th anniversary of D-Day, and we are talking to Mary right now. I hope you'll stick with me as we continue to have this conversation. You are listening to The Mark White Show, and I am your host, Mark White.
A little wink, a pat on the back, a big old hug, a little laugh. We can make a difference. All we have to do is try. Every day's a chance to change somebody else's life. Let's all do something good today.
Whether you're new to aviation or an experienced pilot looking to advance your skills, Go Vertical Aviation has you covered. With an excellent learning atmosphere and a staff committed to excellence in education, Go Vertical Aviation will customize a learning program just for you. For more information, go to goverticalaviation.com or call 256-412-5226. Be sure to follow Go Vertical Aviation on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Don't just go vertical.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
The best way to buy, sell, and experience land is with Jonathan Berryhill. For your farm, ranch, recreational, hunting, timber, and acreage needs, contact National Land Realty Professional Jonathan Berryhill at 256-874-7354 or email at jberryhill@nationalland.com. Be sure to follow Jonathan Berryhill with National Land Realty on Facebook. This is your land. Thompson Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business serving the North Alabama and Southern Tennessee area. They are a Better Business Bureau A+ member since 2011 and a GAF Master Elite Contractor. Give them a call at 256-952-3309 or check them out on the web at 256roofing.com. They offer free inspections.
Thompson Roofing and Construction.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Losing a loved one is hard, but losing a loved one and not having an estate plan is even harder. Attorney Harlan Mitchell witnessed what not having an estate plan can do to families and decided to use his experience to do something about it. I encourage you to go to BamaEstatePlanning.com or give Harlan Mitchell a call at 256-216-9884. Again, that website is BamaEstatePlanning.com. Let Harlan Mitchell help you with estate planning. Do it for those you love and do it today.
He's got a cold, nothing to worry about.
Just need a couple of stitches.
Your COVID rapid test is negative.
Oh boy, X-ray shows it's broken.
Trust Trinity Medical Care when you need urgent care or routine medical care. Walk-ins are welcome, or let Trinity help you virtually with telemedicine. Visit trinity-medicalcare.com for more information and follow them on Facebook. Trinity Medical Care, where your care comes first. Located on Governor's Drive and South Parkway.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Overstreet, and you are listening to The Mark White Show. Stay tuned because Mark is doing some things on his show that's helping his community and uplifting people, so you stay with him.
He drives into the city, works extra hard all day, finishes up early so he can get away. There's a blue-eyed kid on second base, wants Dad to watch him play.
Welcome back to the Mark White Show. I am your host, Mark White, and we have been talking to Mary Eisenhower. She is the youngest granddaughter of the 34th President of the United States, Dwight Eisenhower, and the First Lady, Mamie Eisenhower. Welcome back to the Mark White Show, Mary.
Thank you. It's so great to be here, Mark.
I'm thrilled to have you, and I know that there are people who are listening right now that are tuning in because of the connection that you have to our former president. And it is a unique situation that you spoke of as a young person, at first not realizing what your grandfather did, and then to realize, okay, it's a little different and it's a different lifestyle, but it's still your grandfather. And it's still, as you said, your grandfather left the Oval Office and he was a granddad to you.
Right. It wasn't until later on that politics became a conversation anywhere near the house, which was wonderful. You know, he and my father were very close. A lot of people don't know this, but my father was a West Pointer, and he was the class that graduated on D-Day. Rather than have the usual leave that's given to graduates of a month before they have to go serve, Daddy was called right after graduation to the commandant's office. He was told what his father had just done. He did not know about Operation Overlord and that kind of thing. They put him on an airplane and sent him directly to England to be with my grandfather right after graduation, which was really kind of something, I'm sure, for him. But he ended up as aide, and he saw it, commiserated and advised, and, you know, just went through it all with Granddad. Why were we so close as a family? I just think that when you're in a position where, you know, you've got the whole world in your hands, so to speak, you know, who do you trust? And the only ones you can fundamentally trust are your family.
One of the things I think about right now when I think about families and the connections that we have is that is our root, and that's our connection. How we develop our families in the home, what we do in our homes trickles outside of our home, and it influences people in our communities and across our society. And we have a choice to be a positive influence or be a negative influence. How we raise our children, right. How I raise my 6-year-old daughter, how I raise my 19-year-old nephew will have a direct effect on other people as they continue to grow.
Not just a temporary one either. It's a forever effect. I wish so many people understood today. I really do. I was going to applaud you for that philosophy with your 6-year-old daughter. That's great.
I have a young lady who is now part of my show. Her name is Kyla Carter. She's an actress, and she's on Broadway, and she has done some things with Nickelodeon and DreamWorks, and she has Kyla's Corner, and her slogan is "Live Life Sunny Side Up." I told Kyla I was going to be talking. I told her that I was going to be talking to you today, and I asked her, I said, is there anything that you would like to say to Mary? And first thing is, hi. And the second thing is, let her know that it is important to let young people know they can make a difference, and maybe she has some ideas how. Kyla was looking to see if you had some ideas for young people on how they could make a difference and the importance of young people as we move forward.
Well, of course, making a difference, you can do that as a whole in many ways. You can write a check and let somebody else do the groundwork, or you can volunteer, you can support things on your internet and that kind of thing. But I have found through my work with People to People International, I have found that the most effective way that kids today help, and they do starve to help, they really want to help, is hands-on. We have programs, and I've, of course, been a part of them, where we'll take a group of students overseas or something, and we'll visit a children's home, and we might be painting a fence with the other kids, and we might be making sack lunches for less privileged children. We might be putting supply bags together. We might be doing all those hands-on things, but we're doing them also with the people who will benefit. And I've seen underprivileged children squeal with delight at the idea that they're able to help too. It's amazing because it not only is the right thing to do, but it also builds international bridges. So when these kids grow up and somebody tells them that Americans are terrible, they'll say, oh, no, they're not. Because the magic that comes of these things, you make a difference not only physically, but you make a difference emotionally as well.
It's interesting that you bring up the international connections. On Saturday, I spoke to two 13-year-olds in the Netherlands. Kyla was part of the show as well, as she's made connections with young people all over the world because of her acting. And these two young men who were 13 years old were looking for ways to make a difference. And one of them brought up the fact that in Amsterdam, they have a huge homeless population. And I asked him, I said, have you looked up any organizations that might be working in the community there in Amsterdam to help that? And he said he had not. And so my suggestion to him was if he found a passion behind trying to help people who are homeless, or he wanted to sing to his great-grandmother in the nursing home, make older people feel good by using his talent in the voice realm, he needed to start thinking about that.
That's excellent. We have chapters that involves community chapters and also student chapters. Rwanda has a community chapter, and one of our student chapters in the Midwest had learned that Africa in some places actually gets cold at night. It's hot during the day, but it gets cold at night, and that there were 4 million homeless children in Rwanda. These 15-year-olds all got together and quilted. It was more than 20, and sent it to the chapter in Rwanda to distribute so that the other kids could stay warm at night.
And those young people get the reward of knowing that they're doing something good. It does lead them down a path of continuing to make a difference as they get older. It's what we learn when we're younger is what we do when we're older.
Well, and everybody has fun. The kids who got them had fun. The kids who made them had fun. So it turns negatives into positive. We used to have a program that we're planning to rejuvenate called Peace Camp. It was kids from all over the world, and we would meet in a kind of a safe place outside of the U.S. to discuss how current events are affecting their various cultures. I remember this one in particular in Egypt. One of the activities of the Peace Camp was to put supplies together. We had 30 countries represented, 2 students from each country. We wouldn't allow any 2 nationals to room together. In other words, they had to room with somebody from a different country. The language was English, but it wasn't their first language. So it was kind of interesting to see how all this went. But a couple of things happened. We had all these supplies available to them, and they were supposed to pack supplies for the less fortunate in Egypt. These kids come from all walks. It's a scholarship program, and they're not chosen by their income or ability to pay. They're chosen by their essays and what they want to do and what they want to get out of it and that kind of thing. We introduced them to the supplies and showed them a completed bag and, what we had in mind. We thought that they would probably make about 500 bags or something in about 4 hours is what we allotted. I started to give them instructions on how to do this, and I started demonstrating, and they basically pushed me out of the way. They talked to each other, and they organized. They made 1,500 supply bags in 2 hours.
Wow.
And I went, whoa, hey, excuse me, I'll get out of the way. But, you talk about different, and there were kids from Siberia, from Vietnam, covered the world. And I just thought that was the most amazing thing in the world. And then another time, when you go on the Nile, you're on a boat, right? And that's a good place for something like that because you can't go anywhere on a boat. You have to talk. There's a pool on this particular boat. We were taking a break, and I suggested, because it was hot, I suggested the pool. They thought that was a great idea, and they all went up. And I went up to check on them about, 30 minutes later, and there were only 2 kids in the pool. And the rest were, they were sitting around, they were playing cards, and they were talking and cutting up and that kind of thing. And I said, don't you want to swim? It's really hot. And they said, oh, yes, we have a schedule worked out. And I was kind of, what? And they said, yeah, well, it's against her religion to swim with boys. So we've timed it so that everybody has an equal amount of time in the pool, and we take turns.
Nice.
Now, they did that without any adult supervision. These are kids that are between 14 and 18.
Wow.
they just worked it out. They didn't go screaming that, we weren't sensitive or, something like that. They just worked it out.
That is
learn
amazing.
a lot from them. Yeah. And to me, that is helping. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There are all kinds of ways that you can help you and that don't require a check and that require your heart. That's the greatest check you can write is your heart.
I love it. I love that. I want you to elaborate for listeners right now about People to People and give a voice to this organization and how people can be a part of People to People.
Oh, thank you. It's been my life's work since 1996. However, it was founded in 1956 by Dwight Eisenhower. He was concerned. I'd say that the concept was probably born when he discovered the death camps. He was just so horrified. And he said, we've got to figure out a better way to get peace than the massive war that we had. And he very much feared a World War III. He was thinking about it for a long time. And even though it was founded in 1956, in 1954, he actually got together with Nikita Khrushchev, who was, his greatest adversary at that point. And they struck up a deal to send 25 businessmen, the USSR at that point wasn't taking women, to Moscow to meet their counterparts. A couple of things happened with that meeting. First of all, the ice was broken, at least between the two sets of business people. It opened the pathway for many more to come, and he called that his Citizen Ambassador Program. He strongly felt that if the everyday citizen would work on mutual projects, would get together and only get to know each other, understand each other, that eventually peace would become a condition of heart rather than a hard-learned lesson. So in 1956, on September 11th, he chartered the President's People to People program. And actually, we thought it was kind of prophetic for a long time that he founded it on September 11th, 56, but that was actually the 10th anniversary of my great-grandmother, his mother's death. He was really honoring her by picking that particular date, which is kind of interesting because she was very much a pacifist and peace lover. Long story short, in 1961, when he was leaving office, he said, if this does not belong to the people, it won't work. So the next year, my father and Joyce Hall of Hallmark Cards, my grandfather and a couple of other key players, Walt Disney, I think even Arnold Palmer was involved, General Bradley. It was really quite an effort, but it came into the private sector and has been operating as a 501c3 ever since. And we do everything from student exchange, which is a very large program, to done the humanitarian eradication of landmines. We've done the peace camps that I just mentioned. So there's really, I think our youngest member is about 12. We've had them as young as 10. And our oldest currently is 92, but we've had them as old as 96. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. It's great because our mission is broad enough that we can, it's inclusive. We can include everybody. It's difficult when you try to raise funds because people say, well, what exactly is it that you do? And you go, well, do you have 2 weeks? We can tell you all about it, but we do so many different things in different areas because we try to be sympathetic, or we try to find the projects that go under the radar that make a difference. What does People to People do? And it's like, do you have a couple weeks? Because it's going to take me that long to tell you all about it if you want all the details. It has an extremely rich history, and it has a large success rate too. For example, and we try to go for projects that are kind of under the radar, that are very much needed, that they don't get the shall we say publicity appeal that an awful lot of other ones do. For example, when the tsunami hit Sri Lanka in 2004, I realize I'm talking about a long time ago, but I've been with it for a while. We didn't try to find bottled water for them. We looked for ways to rebuild their school system because that was a permanent thing. We knew that there'd be water coming in from everywhere. And we wanted to do something that was going to last and sustain the community. We also had a program called Operation International Children. We teamed up with Laura Hillenbrand, the author, and the actor Gary Sinise. And we sent school supplies through the military to the children in Iraq and Afghanistan or basically war, because there was Djibouti as well, but war-torn areas. And there were several things that happened with that. Of course, the local children, would see they were at war, right? And they'd see these people walking around in fatigues and with guns and things like that. That's very scary for a little kid. But then when the soldiers actually delivering, I say soldier, when the military personnel are actually delivering things that will help them in school and their supplies that gives them a chance to have a very positive interaction, then they understand that they're there to help. And it also advances education, which is the most important thing in the world, particularly in those areas. So again, people are going to say, Americans are terrible or whatever, and they're going to say, oh, no, they're not. They can make the argument, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely does. And I would encourage people, if they're interested in finding out about the programs, all the different programs and how people can connect with people to people. And I wanted to make sure that we touched on that. And you've talked about students as well. And I don't know if you caught my message, but here in Athens, Alabama, not far from where you lived in Huntsville at one point, we have a school called Athens Bible School. Ross Melvin had all of these different documents and different things from Dwight Eisenhower and his own aunt and uncle, and he shared those things with Athens Bible School. So there's a whole section of the school dedicated to your grandfather. It's called the Eisenhower Room. I don't know if you saw that, but that's at Athens Bible School in Athens, Alabama. They think a lot of that Eisenhower Room, and it really is a remarkable thing to see here in one of our local schools where my daughter actually goes to school herself.
When I was living in Gettysburg, when our property abutted with the grandparents' farm, there were two elementary schools. One had the Eisenhower Elementary School and the other one the Kefauver Elementary School, which was Stevenson's first running mate against Granddad. I was zoned for the Kefauver. I went to Kefauver Elementary School when there was an Eisenhower Elementary School, right around the corner, which is kind of funny. There's another website that goes to the NGO side. Yeah, and that's cultural experiences. There are humanitarian projects on those, but it's mainly cultural. Our mission's three-pronged. It's humanitarian, cultural, and educational. All programs are going to have an element of each one of those things in it. But anyway, the website is www.ptpi.org.
ptpi.org.
Yes.
Just to be clear, people who want to find out more about people to people can go to ptpi.org. That's ptpi.org. Folks, we have been talking to Mary Eisenhower here on the Mark White Show today. Mary, thank you so much for joining me here on the Mark White Show and sharing about your grandfather, your family, the program People to People, and what people can do to try to make a difference in their communities, and also a special message to young people as they try to find ways to make a difference.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
You are always welcome. And now that we're connected, anytime you have anything that you would like to share, please feel free to contact me and let me know.
Oh, sounds great. Thank you so much.
That was Mary Eisenhower, the youngest granddaughter of President Dwight Eisenhower and First Lady Mamie Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States. We appreciate Mary joining us here on the Mark White Show today. Here on the Mark White Show, we recognize difference makers, and that's difference makers from farm to table, right? I mean, we have people who are making a difference all across this country, and I try to recognize them through the Mark White Show and show you what they're doing to make a difference in our communities. If the Mark White Show is making a difference in your life, I hope that you will share this show with your friends, your neighbors, and your family. Let them know about the Mark White Show. We need some encouragement around here, and I hope that the Mark White Show is something that does that for you. I encourage you to follow the Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also subscribe to the Mark White Show podcast via Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, Blueberry, YouTube, and TuneIn Radio. This is Mark White, encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today.
Who live and love in my hometown. These are my kind of people.
Right now I have with me David Tyree with Piney Grove Farm in Vinemont, Alabama.
Thanks, Mark. It's good to be with you. At Piney Grove Farm, we offer Black Angus beef raised all naturally. Our cattle are grass-fed, grain-finished. We'd love for you to come try some. Our market is located at 5814 County Road 1141, Vinemont, Alabama, and we're open on Fridays from 9 to 5. You can also give us a call at 256-339-4612.
That's Piney Grove Farm, located in Vinemont, Alabama. Find them on Facebook at Piney Grove Farm and give them a try.
Hi, everybody. This is DJ Thomas. You know, raindrops may be falling on your head, but on Kyla's Corner, she's living life sunny side up.
Nothing seems to fit.
You are my sunshine, my only.
This is Kyla Carter of Kyla's Corner. You can hear my segment every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on The Mark White Show. Remember to tune in every Saturday and always live life sunny side up.
Please don't take my sunshine away.
Is it time for a haircut? Go see my friends Philip Butler and B.H. Parker at Southwind Barbershop, located at 1637 Lee Street in Rogersville, Alabama. Give them a call at 256-247-5658. That's 256-247-5658.
If you like hickory smoked ribs that fall apart at the slightest pull, or barbecue shoulders that are so slow smoked each tender bite melts in your mouth, then you are going to love Baby Jack's Barbecue. Baby Jack's Barbecue in Bartlett and Arlington. Try the barbecue chicken, beef brisket sandwich, barbecue potato, it is huge, or the Baby Jack Trio, pork, turkey, or beef brisket sliders. You like wet ribs? They like dry ribs. Get one slab that has them both. Catering? Baby Jack's can feed a family or an army. Drive in, drive through, order online, or come in and set a minute. Baby Jack's Barbecue in Bartlett at Highway 70 in Appling, or in Arlington at Highway 70 just a block west of 385.
Hello, my name is Christian Martinez. I'm a rising senior at Athens Bible School. My school is great because of the wonderful environment in which students can grow and flourish. We have great academics that include the University Preparatory Diploma and dual enrollment courses that lead to an associate's degree before high school graduation. All my teachers and the school's employees are Christians who are devoted to the welfare of students. We have an excellent student body, competitive sports program, and study the Bible first thing every day. It's a great place. Please consider joining us at ABS next year, or give that special child in your life the great opportunity I have.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A Highway 43 in Russellville, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your Dependable Service Center.
Located in Tuscumbia, Alabama, the Alabama Music Hall of Fame honors Alabama's music achievers. You can even go into the recording studio and try out your talents as a singer. That's the Alabama Music Hall of Fame, located at 617 Highway 72 West in Tuscumbia, Alabama. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 256-381-4417. Check them out on the web at alamhof.org.
You hear me, people, when I say, well, let's all do something good today.